Good evening, folks. Game one in the books. Could you have asked for a better way to start the 2025 NBA postseason for the Cleveland Cavaliers? We had to wait a week. The second to last team to make their first playoff appearance of the season. And they go out there and look, it's up, it's down. But the way they close that game is the team that got the 1 seed, is the team that went 64-18 in the regular season, is the team that gave fits to every single squad in the NBA at least once this year. Unbelievable, man. Ty Jerome, 28 big ones. He just went absolutely berserk in the fourth quarter. I mean, wow. Wow. What can you say about Ty Jerome? 28, 5-3, plus 17 on the day. 5 for 8 from deep. The Cavs are the team knocking in 18 threes. Okoro and Hunter went 0 for scoring-wise. Going to need both of them to step up for Isaac. Got to take those layups from there for Dre. Didn't really get in the fourth quarter. They rode Merrill and Jerome for good reason. Sam had 2 blocks, 4 assists, knocked in a couple of threes. The bench did its job, but the best backcourt in the league proved it on the big stage. Their first playoff game with Kenny. 35-4 with 4 steals for Donovan, 11 of 19, highly efficient. Darius, 10 for 17 with 27, 5 assists. He was a plus 16 on the day. Both guards really showing up in this one. And you know what they do and what they bring, and they absolutely brought it. I mean, look, the goal for the Cavs is to win a championship. So we're not going to just jump for joy at the fact that they won game 1 by 20 points. They were supposed to win this game by a lot. The Heat are 8 games under 500. The Cavs were 46 games over 500. They were separated by 27 wins in the regular season. Miami needed a fourth quarter and overtime finish to get past the Hawks team down several key guys. They earned their way in, Davion and Hero and Wiggins and Highsmith and Bam and Khalil Ware and our old pal Alec Burks. But this is what you expect. When you have the 1 versus the 8 in a playoff game, game 1, you expect the 1 seed to win big. Now, the Cavs didn't do what the Thunder did and win by 50, but they won big. They won convincingly when push came to shove. Miami cuts it to 5 in the Cavalanche of the day. They finished plus 13 in the fourth quarter. Certainly, again, was closer than we would have liked it to have been. Let's look at Miami's plus-minus, though. Wiggins, minus 22. Hero, minus 18. Bam, minus 13. He shot 10 of 22. They held Hero to 21 points on 18 shots. They forced 14 Miami turnovers. The Cavs themselves had just 7. 0 turnovers by the bench, by the way. Talk about keeping it very, very clean. So look, bench between Ty and Sam got 34. Ty Jerome, Sam Merrill. They won the bench points battle by 1, certainly for Miami. They're not going to go anywhere. Davion Mitchell had an exceptional game, ignoring his plus-minus of minus 20 since the fourth quarter was just not kind to Miami. 18 points, 4 boards, 9 assists for Davion Mitchell, off the bench. So when you think about what Davion does and what he brings and what he did to the Hawks, you're going to have to keep him in check. With the Cavs, 51% from the field. Again, only 7 turnovers. They won the battle of the offensive rebounds, which is extremely important. And even though Evan Mobley didn't have any rebounds in the first half, 3 offensive rebounds in the second half. He finished the day with 9 and 7. We'll look to him to do a bit more in the next game. But, 1-0 is 1-0 is 1-0. And Ty Jerome with his 28, 5-3, just absolutely popping off. We're going to bring on Jared Bates, a co-host of the Legal Ham to the Face pod, a big party. He runs behind the scenes What Network. 216 is Jared, 1-0. What are your thoughts on the game?
Dude, what a game, right? I'm sorry I'm all dark and everything here. I am down in my living room just watching the game, but man, what a game. And I did ask you, like, how deep would they go on the bench? And it looks like they went about 9 deep, uh, minutes wise. And it's kind of more than what I thought they would do.
So yeah, I expected the same. The way that they did it was 10 technically. I know Dean Wade never got in the second half. But he did. You know, it's funny, Jared, as we've gone through the season, the way it started in the very beginning when Ty Jerome was still the 10th man, right? He's only getting second and fourth quarter minutes. To he comes in first. But I think what was different this time was, and I liked how they did it, is they brought Merrill in with Jerome and Hunter. Normally they'll go Jerome and Hunter and a minute later do Merrill, but I kind of like that they brought them all in together. And that way you get 6 minutes with one lineup and about 6 minutes with another. So they can, and with Donovan, Darius, Allen Mobley swap, I think it's good for the roster cohesion.
I was really worried about the physical lineup, especially with Bam down low. And Jared Allen held his own, did he not?
Yeah, and you know it's funny every time you watch Jared Allen, you see a few possessions where he's just getting beaten, he's getting bad, and you're like, damn, how is he actually playing? Because he's very up and down, but including the two misses on one possession he had earlier, he was blocked by Ware. 12 and 11, plus 15, 3 steals, a block, 6 offensive rebounds. When you watch the game, and there's times where you think Allen isn't big enough, even despite the frame and the muscle and the size. But then you look back at the whole game and you watch more closely at the replay, and it's like, wow, he is just getting slapped around all game.
Yep.
He doesn't have Jokic cuts on his arms.
Yeah, it was
Close.
definitely a physical game. A lot of calls not called, and a lot of calls that were called that shouldn't have been called.
Yeah, and honestly, it wasn't even the fouls for me necessarily. The first one is the Bam jumper where there was no call. He yelled at the ref. And like, oh, it was the Duncan Robinson out of bounds in the third quarter where it was clearly out of bounds off of the Heat. Duncan Robinson gets a little annoyed. He says, come on. And then all of a sudden it's just Heat ball. No, they usually don't get together when a role player tells them to look at it again. It is what it is. I don't think it affected the outcome. I think the refs did a really nice job overall. It's pretty even both ways as far as shooting fouls, but that was an interesting one for me.
Now, I do have to ask you, did you watch the national broadcast or did you watch the broadcast with our man on the call?
Yeah, so I was watching the national broadcast. For me, it's easier with the setup. I've had some issues with my own stream, so on ESPN, I can't watch in the living room. I have to go to a different room to. So we have a multi TV setup, and I could not watch any. Thankfully, this is Turner, but I can't watch ESPN games in where I normally would watch games because for some reason there's an issue with the Optimum. So this one, I didn't. I do still have League Pass active. I go national most of the time in the playoffs. Now, if there's a chance to watch highlights and hear that, I want to hear Tim Alcorn. I want to hear John Michael. And I know John was quick to point out after the first quarter and the technical difficulties where Dennis Scott, credit to him, he did his darndest for a sideline reporter to do play-by-play by himself for the number one team in the East, only preparing stories, not anything else, is very hard. And a lot of people are going to say he did a bad job. I think he did a great job, but I went national. I'll watch all the highlights of John and Tim, absolutely, but I did go national. I generally don't have an issue with the broadcasters. I do a lot of games myself, not on that stage, but a lot of respect for anyone that has to prep and do it. But you always know that your local guys have your back a little bit more than the national, who do one game every couple of months versus 82 in the regular season.
All right. After this last question, it's all you. This is your show. Bud, how do you see this series going out after we got game one?
We did. My original prediction was Cavs in 6 because watching the play-in and kind of seeing how the Heat handle business. The first game for Miami was kind of what you expected it to be, right? Chicago was not in their league as good as they played. Giddey had a bad wrist. They have absolutely no wing presence. They have no rim protection. They have no lockdown defender. because Caruso's gone. And then you watch the Atlanta game, which I was a little late to get to. I caught the fourth quarter and overtime. And the Heat just have more weapons. The Hawks, you kind of like, what's going to happen here? Right. I'm happy that Niang and LeVert got to play meaningful games, but both of them made big mistakes down the stretch. Niang had a wide open shot for the lead, 30 seconds, missed it. LeVert had that wide open 3 in overtime. He hesitated. He tweaked it a bit. He missed it. And then Davion Mitchell looks like the guy that we thought he was his rookie year. When he was a rookie in Sacramento playing 30 minutes a game, he was putting up double-digit points, almost 2 steals. I'm kind of surprised they bring him off the bench and start Alec Burks, but when Davion comes in, it's a very different team. So my updated prediction would be Cavs in 5. Again, you can't put too much merit on one game. We were up 2-0 in Orlando last year, and it took 7.
Yeah,
they didn't win anything on the road, and they're playing another Florida team. So I'm going to go Cavs in 5. How do you see it playing out?
I go Cavs in 5. I think there's going to be one game where Tyler Hero kind of takes over. He has this playoff so far. I put out on a poll, would you rather have the Hawks, the Heat, or it doesn't matter? A lot of people said it doesn't matter. I really didn't want the Heat because you have a couple of guys that could actually take over a game and actually get hot, along with the Heat. Just all you guys, Trae Young, and then I love Niang and LeVert. Don't get me wrong, I love them, but didn't see that happening. But with this, I think it's going to go 5. I think it's going to be the little gentlemen's, is what we like to call it, the gentleman's sweep.
Yep.
But I think the Cavs take the first 2 here. And obviously, you're not going to do a show on Wednesday, right?
Wednesday is a TBD. Wednesday is a TBD. Wednesday and Saturday are both TBDs.
TBDs.
TBD. Right. There will be every other game, hopefully, for the rest of the playoffs other than games 2 and 3 of the first round. Should be good.
Well, if you need somebody to cover, I will cover. I love the stuff you do, bud. I do. You do great stuff with the Cavs. And I do have to ask, are we finally going to see DeAndre Hunter get a little more than what he's been playing, a little more points, a little more action?
Points, yes. Action is TBD. Honestly, a lot of people are kind of annoyed at Kenny's style, just following through Cavs Twitter over the course of the game. Some enjoyed the fact that he kept the rotation the same, but you look at the first half, a lot of people were annoyed that you had Darius, Ty, and Merrill together. But you look at what Sam Merrill does on defense. He was hounding everybody that had the ball. He had his 2 blocks. He doesn't force shots. He only takes what's there for him. I like the style they did with DeAndre. DeAndre gets the first quarter, the second quarter, the third quarter, and then part of the fourth. If he's playing well, we'll see him play majority of the fourth. And I think today they wanted to go Evan Mobley with Jared Allen. I could see the case of game 2. If it's close again and Hunter's playing well, he'll get the minutes. But if Okoro's making shots, it'll be his minutes. I think outside of Mobley, Mitchell, Garland, Strus, whoever the 5th guy is going to be determined by who's really locked in. You're not going to definitely close with Jared Allen if you trust Mobley. But Mobley had an off night, so we got to give more minutes to Jared Allen. So I think the game itself will kind of play to it. I'm not worried about DeAndre. He made he was in the playoffs with the Hawks. They went to the conference finals. I believe he returned late. I actually have to double check. He might have been out. Cam Reddish was a late add to that. But these guys all have playoff experience. Strus with Cleveland and Miami. DeAndre. Sam was here last year. Though, but I will close, from my point to you before I continue on. This was Ty's first playoff game, and to score 28 points off the bench in your first playoff game after having to watch from the seats, just being the high five last year. He's getting the high fives now. He's not giving them. Ty Jerome is getting the high fives. He deserves every single one that he gets.
6th man of the year. 6th man of the year.
He won't get it, but he should.
He definitely should. He definitely should. All right. I'm leaving it to you. Have a great night. Thank you so much for letting me join in on the conversation. And go Cavs.
My pleasure, Jared. Thank you. So, if everyone's still here, welcome back. Zach Weiss, Cross the Cavs, post-game on Network 216. You see in the top right next to the photo of Dellavedova playing lockdown defense on Pablo Prigioni, who's being fronted by Delhi. And behind Dellavedova, you have Amari Stoudemire being guarded in the post by Anderson Varejao. And sneaking through, you have Tyler Zeller. Again, new setup to those that haven't seen it. It has been a while since I've hopped on here. Been a busy schedule. Before we will get back to the matchup, in the bottom left, or top right, literally right above my head, we got Larry Nance Jr. bobblehead on the left. And we got Jarrett Allen on the right. And if you go over to the other side, that is the ever rare Tyler Zeller bobblehead with a Darius Garland Funko Pop. So anyway, the Cavs get the win. This is a very exciting contest. Taking game one always matters. You know, it doesn't matter what seed you are or where you're ranked. It means a lot when you can force the first adjustment to be that of something from your opponent. So 1-0 feels pretty sweet today. And then we got Warriors-Rockets coming up next. That's the last game of a busy day. There haven't been any close final scores yet today, but there's been some very fun ones this weekend. Knicks-Pistons was a thrill. This game was thrilling, nerve-wracking as much as anything, but definitely thrilling. So, again, 50-50 on post-game for Wednesday. There will be no post-game on Saturday. But beyond that, games 4, 5, 6, round 2, round 3. Every Cavs playoff game that comes to an end, join me right here. We're talking Cleveland Cavaliers basketball on Across the Cavs on Network 216, up 1-0 in the series. Can we ask for anything more? I would say no. So that's it for today. We got more to come. Follow on Twitter at Across Cavs. I'll be debuting new post-game graphics after every game in the first round. Looking at some other ways to just spice it up. And we'll see you next time.